I'd like to continue with the poor man's porting theme here. I got a Husky 350 cylinder. This is actually an OEM 45mm cylinder. And one thing about this particular cylinder is that it actually has removable transfer covers. So you actually don't need to have a right angle drill to port this, but it's a good opportunity to try out something new. Got our poor man's right angle here. The problem I was having with these particular burrs is that they chatter a lot. Let's try that. So the bigger diameter burrs here end up really chattering. So I got a smaller diameter burr. Now the problem with this, well, this comes from Brasseler, and these come in these type containers, just little plastic sleeves. The problem with these is these are 32 bucks a piece. So it doesn't really go with the poor man's porting, but I think you can get these for significantly less money on eBay. I happened to be at a dental show, and I figured I'd pick these up because I was actually able to look and see exactly what I needed. Now, they're smaller diameter. I also happen to have picked up this one, and this has a yellow band on it, which is even finer. So red band is fine, yellow is extra fine. So this is awfully coarse and was grabby and chattery. Let's try the fine one and see how it goes. So you can obviously find relatively inexpensive right angle tools. The question is, can you find burrs? And these burrs, well, this is latch, and latch only comes in 2.35mm. There's no friction grip for right angle unless you go with one of the more expensive porting tools like a CC Specialty. So you really need to go with this, and then you need to have latch, and then you need to make a latch. Make a latch out of a lab burr, which I did by grinding there. So let's see if it chatters. Well, it does chatter, but not quite as much. So let's play and see how this port work goes here. You can see how much I have to grind away there. So let's see if this works. These burrs get loaded. So it seems like actually side loading this, it seems to be okay. But if you load it this way, or this way, it doesn't really like that. Even with the chatter, I'm making progress. So I've got this apart, and it's because the gear here that's supposed to mate with this gear here has stripped out. And one of the reasons why these keep stripping, I've done two now, is that the oilite bearings on either side here are kind of loosey-goosey. There's a little bit of play in there. This is not tight. It's just not tight. So things move. So I think I did okay this round. However, I did toast two sets of bearings here. it's not really the bearings, it's actually the teeth in there eat itself. So it looks to me like if you're going to be using these, be prepared to buy more heads, and buy more heads pretty quickly. Now, they do sell these heads separately for pretty inexpensive. I'm wondering if part of the problem is that just the head is of poor quality. There seems to be some wobble in there, which I guess messes you up partially. But just to show the result that I got, I suppose that's not too bad. So if you're doing transfers, you really need that right angle. And, you know, I don't even know if these chatter more or less. I don't even necessarily think that the super fine ones chatter less than the fine ones. I think they do chatter a little bit less than the bigger ones, but it's kind of almost 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If you want reference numbers, the red one is H79EF11. .040 tip carbide cutter. It's got a red band on it, and this is a H79DF 11040 carbide. DF is diamond pattern, I think. It's not diamond cutter, but diamond pattern. So they seem to be fine, but they still do chatter. No matter how fine I seem to get, it still seems to chatter, which tells me that it's either the heads themselves. I think it's got to be probably the heads themselves, the bearings in them, whatever it might be, that is the culprit here. So I'm going to keep you guys posted and see if I can come up with something a little bit less pricey. Got to get this to where we can actually do it for inexpensive, and to have a package so that people can just buy it, do 1 or 2 saws or something like that, and still come out with a reasonable result. It's a trick. I'm going to be working on it. This 350 is fairly unexciting. I'm just going to finish this up, but I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that I am working on this. Alright, so I'll show you guys what I'm doing. This is the bearing cap, and it just so worked out that well, I'm not going to cut squish band. I'm going to leave that alone. But what I do want to do is I do want to optimize squish to 20 thousandths, and I had already cut the bearing cup a little bit, but it wasn't quite right. So rather than do a full base gasket delete, a piece of aluminum here, well, a little aluminum can will work fine, and it's 4 thousandths of an inch thick. Anyway, put that on, I'll have a 20 thousandth squish. So what I did was I just put the can on here, and I had it more or less cut out, but I reamed kind of the bearing cup here, so it's all smooth in here. Just so the burrs are gone, and that way we have nice, good flow. Now the problem is that you can see that that's probably not going to be the case here, so I'm going to have to go in here and do a bunch of work. So let's do that. See where that ends up. Should be able to take this, and then with my, as it turns out, I didn't need this cutout because the cutout is in the cylinder head here, but whatever. So with my Sharpie I can go and all that there. That needs to be smoothed, removed, blended, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So now I can hit that with the Dremel and clean up all that stuff. Just wanted to show you what can be done. Now I am not a pro level porter, so a lot of guys probably look at this and say, "Ah, that guy's a hack," but that's okay. All I did here was widen the exhaust just a little bit, widen the intake a little. I did have to remove quite a bit where the intake is. From here to here had to be removed to go from a port timing of like 70 to 80. A little more intake duration. All this is opened up, obviously, just to let it breathe a little bit better. So I think it looks pretty good. Beveled all the edges. You can use a football or a ball diamond to go in here and bevel the lower edge there. Got to go in here and bevel this lower edge. Same thing with the exhaust, really. Got to be a bit of a bevel right here on the exhaust. I used these sanding drums. Little sanding drums help. Obviously the diamond. And you really could probably do most of this with a carbide. This is a crosscut carbide. You could do most of the porting with this, with the exception of the upper transfers there. So it's impressive what you can do with even a single type of burr. So I've got my riser ready to go, and I think I'm ready to start assembling this. Gonna make sure this is all clean of oils, put the whole thing together, and hope it generates a little more power than usual. So that's that for today on the poor man's porting. I'm going to keep looking into heads and burrs and things so that we can find a fairly economical solution to this to get into it without going to CC Specialty or one of those to get the really nice hand pieces. I don't know why these things don't seem to be available, but right in this particular niche it's kind of tricky to find things we're looking for. So I'll keep looking and keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.